Hello once again. This is episode 5 on the Gematria of Genesis. And in this episode, I'd like to discuss the Gematria of Noah's Ark. As we know, Noah's Ark is one of the most fascinating and famous stories in the Bible. And we learn that having evicted Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, that the world becomes corrupt and violent. Interesting enough, the word for violence is actually the word Hamas. And in this story, Noah is the one person in the world who's found favor in the eyes of God, and God informs him that he's going to destroy the world with a flood, and he shall build this ark. He gives the dimensions of the ark, and he tells it to pitch it with tar, pitch on the inside and on the outside. So let's just focus on these elements and see how this works out from the geometrical point of view. The first point is the dimensions of the ark. And as we see that God gives the dimensions of the ark that shall be built. It shall be built by 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits in width, and 30 cubits in height. Now, if we look at the gematria for these dimensions, the height 30 is a lamed, the length 300 is shin, and the width of 50 is nun. If we put these letters together, we get the word lashon, and lashon means language. So where are we going on this? What does it mean, language? So interestingly, in Hebrew, the word for ark is teva, and teva is also the same word for word. The word and language seem to be linked. Then the word used for flood is mabul. Now, mabul is actually not a Hebrew word per se, it's an Akkadian word. And as we learn after the story of Noah's Ark, we talk about the Tower of Babel. And Babel comes from the word lebabel, which means to confuse. So Mabul and Babel, they seem to be linked. We're not sure how, but they seem to be linked between the flood and confusion. Then God instructs Noah to pitch with tar on the inside and on the outside. Word for pitch is kofer, and it's spelled exactly the same way as the word for atonement. Yom Kippur, as we know, is spelled kaf pei resh. And so kofer is the pitch, is a form of atonement. So here we're getting a very different image of Noah's Ark. First of all, Noah's Ark comprises of the word tongue or language. In itself, it is a word that the flood seems to be associated with confusion, and that with the seal on the inside and out, that it atones from the outside world. So what we see here is, and I'll shift to the next slide, we're carrying the word of God across a sea of confusion to a new world. So here we have a very interesting aspect of the meaning of Noah's Ark. Okay, this is the end of this. I just like to remind you that all these aspects and many others are discussed in my book, which is called The Gematria of Genesis, Jewish Holy Days and Festivals. Can be found on my website or also on Amazon. Thank you once again. See you next time.